delayed due to some competition. Okay, so I was judged for that. That's why it was delayed, and also 1 hour it is delayed. Okay, so let me just continue with this queuing time. So queuing time is not fixed factor. Always it is not going to be the fixed one. So it is going to change for each of the message. It changes with the load imposed on the network. Okay, what is the state of the network? Is it the network is free or it is having more traffic? Accordingly, the queuing time is going to vary. Okay. So where there is a heavy traffic on the network, queuing time increases, obviously. Okay. So if this particular intermediate node, if it is having lot of data to transfer, whatever the new data that comes, it will be waiting in the queue. Okay, until it gets its turn. Okay, so that waiting time, it depends on the network load or whatever the traffic in the network. If the traffic increases in the network, so even queuing time of that particular message also increases. Okay, it has to wait in the queue. Okay, so here an example of intermediate device such as router. So the queue that arrived the messages and process them one by one. Okay, so whatever the data at the router, okay, here I am just taking an example of intermediate node. So whatever the data that comes, it has to process the data and it has to send one data at a time to the other end of the device, to our other next node. So in that case, it is going to take long time if the network traffic is more. And other during that time, whatever the other messages that comes, it has to wait in the queue. Okay, if there are many messages, so each message will have to wait. So until the router becomes free, so it has to be waiting in the queue. Okay, so whenever if you go mm, to buy a movie ticket, normally what happens, if crowd is more, you have to be in the queue. Okay, you have to be in the queue. And how long you have to be in the queue? So until you get your turn to buy the ticket. So till that you should be in the queue. Okay, so if the movie is good, okay, if it is released on the same day first show, so obviously the queue is, it's going to be more, the length of the queue is more. Okay, so the same manner, the same thing happens with respect to the network. Okay, if the queue size is more, so the queuing time is also going to be increasing. Or if network traffic is more, okay, so queuing time increases. If queuing time increases, what happens? The performance is going to reduce. So performance, even it includes the queuing time. Always we need queuing time should be less so that the performance of the network will be good. So next we have another term called bandwidth delay product. Okay, so these two terms, the metrics are used for measuring the performance of the link. Okay, bandwidth delay or true performance metrics of the link. The product of bandwidth delay is the number of bits that the link can fill. Okay, so when I use the term bandwidth, that is bandwidth of the link. Okay, and the delay indicates how much time it takes to transfer the data from one end to the another end. Okay, that is called as delay. Okay, so this combination, that is bandwidth into delay, so it is going to give the number of bits that the link can fill. Okay, in case if it is a duplex channel, okay, if it is simplex, it will be just bandwidth into delay. If it is a duplex channel, you need to understand duplex means, so at the same time it can send and it also receive the data at the same time. Simultaneously it can send and receive. So in that case, the bandwidth delay product is twice. Okay, so always you just check to this term. If it is full duplex, you need to think it is send and receive both. Okay, simultaneously it can be done. So here we have two case studies. So the first one, where where the bandwidth is 1 bps. That means bandwidth available, it is 1 bits per second. It can send only 1 bit at a time. Okay, and the delay, okay, delay is 5 milliseconds. I mean 5 seconds. Okay, actually it is not realistic. Okay, bandwidth of 1 bps and delay is 5 seconds. It is not realistic, but just for understanding purpose, we have taken these values. Okay, so bandwidth is 1 bit, means at a time it can send only 1 bit information. Okay, so by that time this bit, the first bit of the data, it reaches the receiver, it takes 5 seconds. Okay, that is called as delay. Okay, so the data number of bits sent, it is 1 bit. How much time it requires to send that 1 bit to the receiver? It is 5 seconds. Okay, so that means if you multiply, bandwidth is 1 bit 1 bps and delay is 5 seconds, so you are going to get 5 bits. Okay, you are going to send 5 bits to fill the link. Okay, to fill the link, you can just observe the first bit, in the first second only first bit is arrived. So at the second, so the second bit is also arrived. The third second, you can just see 3 bits are in the link. So like that, in 5 seconds, so it is having all the 5 bits in the link, and the first bit is reached at the receiver. Okay, so this bandwidth delay indicates so how many bits it can fill, how many bits it can fill. So it is measured in terms of bandwidth into delay product. Okay, so this is one case. In case, we'll just modify the bandwidth and delay and we'll see how much time it requires. This is the second case, okay, where I've considered bandwidth is 5 bits per second. That means 5 bits it can send. You can just observe, this is the duration of 1 second. Okay, it can send 5 bits. Okay, what is the delay to reach these 5 bits to the receiver? Okay, you can just observe, focus onto the 5 blue color boxes. It indicates the first 5 bits it is reaching at the receiver in 5 seconds. Okay, so when you multiply bandwidth and delay product, so where that is going to fill the link, where it is having the information, the complete link is filled with the data. Okay, how much it is, how many bits? In that case it is 25 bits. Okay, in delay of 5 seconds, so the link is filled with 25 bits. So here you just remember here, so the number of bits sent per second, if it is increasing, that means if the bandwidth is more, you need to understand that, so the data, more data can be sent a faster rate. Okay, so here it is in 5 seconds only, it is 25 bits, but in the previous case, because of limitation or the bandwidth available is 1 bps, so the number of bits sent, it is 5 bits. Okay, in the same 5 seconds, number of bits sent is 5 bits, but here due to the bandwidth is increased, so in the same delay, number of bits sent is 25 bits. Okay, so this is how the bandwidth and delay factors are important with respect to the performance. Okay, so next we have jitter. I think I have used this term in the first module, I mean the first chapter. What is jitter? Okay, jitter is not delay. Okay, so it is somewhat different. So jitter is a problem if different packets of data encounter different delay and application using data at the receiver side is time sensitive. Okay, that means jitter means there is a variation in the arrival of packets time. Okay, so there is variation in the time in terms of arrival of packets. For example, if the delay of first packet is 20 milliseconds, consider the delay of receiving the first packet is 20 milliseconds. The second packet is arriving at 45 milliseconds. Okay, and the third is arriving at 40 milliseconds. Okay, so you can just see there is so much delay in between receiving the packets. Okay, so whenever if this is with respect to audio and video, there is loss of data. Okay, there is loss of data, you may not able to get the clear information. Okay, you'll not be able to match even audio, video, images, and whatever the audio it is. You can just observe many times the audio and whatever the video you are seeing, you are unable to match the audio and video. So that is due to jitter. Okay, there is variation in the arrival of packet. Okay, maybe the video is arrived 20 millisecond, audio is coming after 45 millisecond. Okay, you can just observe there is no matching between the words, whatever the you can hear, and also the image or the lip movement. Okay, so that is happening due to a jitter. Okay, is it clear? There is a delay between the arrival of packets, different arrival time of different packets. Okay, if it is every packet coming exactly at 20 milliseconds, okay, that's good. Okay, so there is no problem with respect to that. So this interval is going to be same, but when it is going to vary, each packet is arriving at different interval of time, so it leads to poor performance. Okay, it leads to poor performance when it is with respect to some real time application. Okay, when it is working with the real time application. These are the different parameters or the metrics that is used to measure the performance. So any doubts in these things, let me know. I think many of them, they went for participation of some of the event. Okay, is it clear? See, first day is there from 24th. I want everyone start your preparation. Maybe in 1 or 2 days I will be sharing the notes. So this completes the module 1. Okay, so this performance topic completes the module 1. So next we'll move on to module 2. Okay, so module 2, mainly we are going to focus on the conversion of the signal or representation of the signal, how the signal data can be represented as signals, either analog or digital. Okay, so first we are going to discuss with digital to digital conversion. Let me just share the complete screen. Okay. Okay, so second module mainly covers with the digital transmission. So one is digital data, how digital data can be converted into digital signal, and another one is how digital data is converted into analog signal. Okay, so we'll be discussing these topics in detail. This topic is very, very important. Are you able to see the whiteboard? Are you able to see the whiteboard?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay, fine. So digital to digital conversion. So what exactly the meaning of this digital to digital conversion? That means if I have a digital data, okay, so always when the data comes at the physical layer, it is represented in terms of bits, okay, zeros and ones, something like this. So now when you want to send this data through media, okay, either it can be converted into analog or it can be converted into digital. Okay, so now this digital to digital indicates now I am converting this data, okay, into digital signal. Okay, the discrete values either 0 or 1. Okay, that is going to be transmitted to the receiver. Okay, once again at the receiver, it has to decode back this digital signal to the digital data. Okay, so we'll just go in detail how it can be done. So for that conversion of digital data to digital signal, There are so many different methods are available. Let me just tell you those methods. Okay, so the methods are line coding, block coding, and scrambling. Okay, using these mechanisms, you can convert the digital data to digital signal. Okay, but in the syllabus, we are going to discuss only line coding. We are going to focus only on line coding. So these two are not part of the syllabus. Okay, I'll just focus on line coding. So this is mainly used for digital data converted into digital signal. Okay, so how it is done? What are the methods are that can be used? So I will explain in detail. So line coding is always needed. So line coding is always needed. Block coding and scrambling may or may not be used. I told, okay. So these are not commonly used for converting the digital data. And this topic is very, very important. Okay. So normally they will give the digital data and they will ask you to represent into digital signal using different encoders. So here, what is encoder? What is the meaning of encoder? Okay, so you can just observe the diagram. So this is consider my sender and this is the receiver. Okay, so now the sender want to send the data. Okay, so that is somewhat in the form of binary. Okay, so now this binary data, that is digital data, I want to convert into digital signal. So that process is done by a special unit called encoder. So this encoder is going to take care of converting a digital data into a digital signal. Okay. So encoder is going to take care of converting the digital data into digital signal. So once it is received at the receiver side, okay, once it is received at the receiver side, it has to be converted back a digital signal into digital data. Okay, and that will be delivered to the receiver. So now we are going to focus on this encoder. Okay, so this encoder, what are the different methods we can use in line coding to convert this digital data into digital signal? Okay, so now for this we are using line coding. So now before going to the different types of encoders, we need to understand the what are the important characteristics of line coding. Okay, so line coding is the process of converting digital data to digital signal. So we assume that in terms of text, numbers, graphical images, audio, video, see whatever the data we have discussed, the different representation of data in the computer. Okay, finally it is represented in the form of bits. Okay, so now these bits are taken and converted into a digital signal. So now at the sender, digital data encoded into digital signal. At the receiver, digital data is recreated by decoding the digital signals. Okay, that's what I told about the encoder and decoder. Okay, so we'll be focusing on encoder method. You can just observe the same diagram is visible. So what is the meaning of line coding? Okay, when I use the term line coding means immediately you need to understand it is conversion of digital data to digital signal. Okay, so this is a simple diagram that tells about the line coding. Hope everybody understood this diagram. So now we'll move on to the characteristics. Okay, there are different characteristics of line coding. So based on these characteristics, we can differentiate the or we can understand how the encoder works. Okay, so which encoder is going to be the best one, all that. Okay, there are different types of encoders in line coding. Okay, and also we'll take some example. If I have given data of, in the exam also they will give this data and they will ask you to encode using different types of line coding. Okay, we'll discuss those types. So whenever you are learning different types, you should be able to compare those types with the characteristics of line coding. So now before going to the line type, we'll understand what are the characteristics of line coding. Okay. So there are 8 characteristics. I will go through one by one. So if you are not understanding at any point of time, just ask me. Okay, so what is the first one? Signal element versus data element. Okay, so signal element, I'm just talking about the signal element and data element. What is the meaning of this and how these two are differentiated? Okay, so here what is data element? First we'll understand. So in data communication, whatever the data you want to send, that will be represented in the form of data element. So here data element is the smallest entity that can represent a piece of information. Okay, it is a piece of information, that is the bit. Okay, in the form of bit information. In digital data communication, signal element carries data element. Okay, so whatever the data I want to send, that is 10101. Okay, that is data element. It is just piece of information. So now how these data elements are carried? So these data elements are carried with the signal elements. Okay, signal element carries the data element. Signal element is the shortest unit. Okay, it is the shortest unit. So unit in the sense time wise. Okay, so that is the time duration of representing data element 1 or 0. That interval we call it as unit. Okay, so signal element is the shortest unit of a digital signal. So your data elements are what we need to send. Okay, in other terms we can define data elements means, so this is the data element what I want to send. So now how these data elements are sent? With the help of signal elements. Signal elements is going to carry these data elements. Okay, signal elements are what we can send. Okay, data elements cannot be sent, so this can be sent with the help of signal elements. So data elements are being carried. Okay, signal elements are the carriers. Okay, these signal elements are the carriers where it will be carrying the data elements. Okay, this is just defined in different terms. Okay, is it clear? Everybody got it? What is data element and signal element? Okay, data element means what is the data I want to send, that is called data element. Okay, so how these data elements are carried in the form of signal, so that is called as signal element. So those are also called carrier. Okay, so next there is a diagram, so where we can understand. So it is not necessarily always a single data element is carried by a single signal element. Okay, just focus on to the diagram A. Okay, so this is diagram A. What is this diagram A tells? So here I am using one term called a ratio. Okay, so the ratio that is denoted with R, that is number of data elements carried by signal element. Number of data elements carried over number of signal elements. Okay, so now this is just a formula. So now we have different case for R. In that first case is one data element per one signal element. Okay, one data element per one signal element. You just observe the signal now. Okay, so this is a statement. I will tell you how I got R equal to 1. So this is, you can just observe, this is my data. Bit 1 is my data and this is carried through one signal element. Okay, 1 is represented with this signal element. Don't worry, I am using negative access or positive, don't worry about that. Just understand. So 1 indicated with one signal element. So 0 bit data element is represented with one signal element. Then this one is represented with one signal element. That means each data elements are represented with one signal element. According to this formula, so the number of data elements is 1 divided by number of signal element is 1. So that is equal to 1. So the ratio here it is 1. Are you getting? One data element is carried by one signal element. Are you getting? Are you understanding? If you don't understand this part, the remaining part you won't understand. Okay, so that's why try to understand clearly. So next case I will go with one data element for two signals. You can just observe. See, always we are going to represent the data. Okay, so this is time axis, and always take some equal amount of time interval for each data. Okay, you can just see the dotted lines whatever I am drawing. When you are drawing these, it should be equal interval. Okay, one is short, one is bigger. No, if you are taking 2 centimeter interval for every signal representation, it should be 2 centimeter only. Okay, so now the first one I told, one signal element carries one data element. Okay, if it is 1 0 1. Similarly, what is the second case? One data element for two signal element. Okay, that means consider this is 1 0 1 0. So now okay, are you getting? So you can just observe. So here one data, this is one data within this interval, and I am representing with this data with two signal element. Okay, this is one signal and this is another signal. Okay, so this is one signal and this is the another signal. So next, similarly 0 also is represented in the same manner. Okay, similarly 0 1. Okay, so now in this case, can somebody tell what is the value of R? What is the value of R? I told data, number of
12.
data. Yes.
Is it 12, ma'am?
12. How 12? See what I told here. R is equal to number of data elements divided by number of signal element. How will get 12? How many number of data elements carries signal elements? It is 1 by 2. Okay, so number of data elements are 1 and that element is carried by 2 signal elements. So in this case R is equal to 2. Are you getting others? Yes. Don't get confused. Very simple. Just remember this formula. The ratio indicates number of data elements carried by how many number of signal elements. That's all. Okay, check the diagram and represent what is R. Okay, let me clarify your doubt if anybody is having. I'll just go with another diagram. You people tell me the answer for this. Okay, so here number of data elements is 2 and number of signal element represented these 2 bits with one signal element. So now what is the R value in this case? Two data elements are represented with a single data element. So in this case, what is the value of R? Yes.
2,
1,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Who told 2? Yes, anybody? Others? Is it 1 or 2? It is going to be 2. So number of data elements divided by number of signal elements it carries, that data element is 1. Okay, so R is equal to 2. It's so simple. Why you are getting confused? Dharninder, understood. So let me go to this example. So now somebody else you tell me. I will not explain anything. You just focus to this diagram and tell me what is the value of R. Read the terms. See, number of data elements they have given 4. Okay, so these 4 data elements are represented with number of, so here directly they have not given 3 signal elements, but in the words they have given 3 signal elements. 4 data elements are represented with 3 signal element. So that is 4 by 3. Okay, 4 data elements per 3 signal elements. Okay, this is how the data elements are carried through a signal elements. Either it can be one to one. Okay, one data element carries one signal element, or it can be one data element carried by 2 signal elements. So it can be any of these case. So accordingly you can just understand what is the value of R. Understood everybody? What is signal element versus data element?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, fine. Okay, just remember simple concept. If anybody is having doubt, I will repeat it. Just go through the diagrams. Okay, so next we'll move on to data rate. So I will explain how to draw these signal element and data element when it comes to the encoders. So next we'll move on to data rate versus signal rate. So we are already familiar with the data rate. Okay, how fast you can send the data. That is called data rate. So now we need to understand what is signal rate. Data rate is already we discussed, it can be represented using bits per second. The unit is used is bits per second. The data rate defines number of data elements or bits sent in 1 second. Okay, that is called data rate and it is measured in BPS. So data rate sometimes it is called bit rate. Okay, normally we'll use either of these terms. You can use data rate or bit rate, both are same. So next, signal rate. So with respect to the transmission media, so we need to use the signal rate. So that is number of signal elements sent in 1 second. Number of signal elements sent in 1 second. So for this signal rate, we are going to use the term called baud rate. Okay, baud rate. So this is a unit used for measuring the signal rate. So how we are using unit BPS for data rate. Similarly for the signal rate, we'll be using the unit called baud. Okay, so or we can call baud rate. Signal rate or baud rate both are same. And the unit, whenever you are calculating signal rate, you should use the unit baud rate. Signal rate sometimes also called, okay, so some other terms that can be used for signal rate is pulse rate, modulation rate or baud rate. Okay, so all these terms it is nothing but signal rate. Okay, so here we have goal. What is the goal? So always increase the data rate while decreasing the signal rate. Okay, that is number of signals sent in 1 second. It should be reduced. Number of data sent per second, it should be increased. Increase the data rate. Increase the data rate while decreasing the signal rate. Okay. So just remember this. Always the data rate should be high and the signal rate should be less. So increasing the data rate increases the speed of transmission. Okay. That is number of bits sent per second if it is increasing. Okay, if you are sending more number of bits per second, so obviously the transmission is going to be faster. But if you are increasing signal rate, okay, or sorry, if you are increasing signal rate, what happens? it requires more bandwidth. Okay, it requires more bandwidth. So always the signal rate should be decreased so that it decreases the bandwidth requirement. So how to reduce the signal rate? So for that, whatever we have discussed in the previous R value, okay, that is representation of data element versus signal element. Okay, it's not always same as the data element and signal element. The number of data element and signal element can be vary. So if data elements are increasing, that's good. Okay, but signal element should be less. Example, we can take the analogy of the car or the vehicle analogy, that is, if you are okay, the each person is going each car, okay, their own car, so what will be the state of the traffic? Okay, so the traffic is going to increase. So instead of that, okay, instead of that, what they can do, they can go for the carpooling. Okay, so they can go for the carpooling. So where a single, see, this is a signal element, car is a signal element here. Okay, it is going to carry more than one person. Okay, it can carry the more than one person, but number of data element is more, but number of signal element is less. So that is the main requirement in the data communication. Okay, so in the same manner they have to design. Always remember this, why signal element should be less and why data element should be more. If you are increasing more number of, see, each person is going with their own vehicle, the traffic is going to increase. Okay, so in that case they can go with the carpooling, so where each car can carry more than one person. Okay, so in that case what happens, the traffic is going to be less. So that is how you need to understand this data element and signal element. Okay, so now we'll just understand the relationship between this data rate and signal rate. So how it can be represented. So here data rate is represented with n, term n, and signal rate is represented with s. Okay, and R we already know what is R. It is the ratio. Okay, so in that case you can calculate the signal rate is nothing but data rate divided by R. So here the value of R, and also it depends on the data pattern, how we are going to send the data. So is it only one data element per one signal element or two data element per signal element? Okay, it is going to vary. The value of R is going to vary. Accordingly, you can calculate what is the signal rate. Okay, and also it is measured in terms of baud rate. Baud, this is a unit. Okay, data rate will be using BPS. For signal rate will be using the unit baud. Okay, and this is a formula that can be used. So this is a relationship between the data rate and signal rate. Okay, this is the average signal and data rate can be related using S average is equal to C into N into 1 divided by R. So what is N here? So N indicates what is the data rate. C is the case factor. Okay, so that is going to vary with respect to the cases. So are you going to take the best case, worst case, average case? Okay, this is just, remember, case factor will be having the value 0 to 1. Okay, if it is the case factor lies between these, means you will be taking the value 0.5. Okay, so they will be specifying what should be the case factor to tell the signal rate how it is. Then S is the number of signal elements per second. Okay, so S is the number of signal elements sent per second. So R is the data element carried by each signal element. Okay, so all these you put together, you are going to get the what is the signal rate. Okay, so here we have one problem to be solved. Okay, so now before going to the problem, so what are these cases indicates? Okay, you may think that what is this worst best average case. So if it is worst indicates need the maximum signal rate. Okay, so your requirement of maximum signal rate. Then best case is, so we need the minimum signal rate. Okay, so if you are not able to understand this case factor more, just remember, so it is going to indicate these three cases and the value will be specified in the problem. Okay, they will specify what is the case that particular value lies for the signal rate. Is it worst or best average case? Okay, otherwise no need to worry about those terms. So this is the formula you need to remember for calculating the signal rate. So we'll just go through one problem. So what is the problem tells here? I think it's time up. Just I will stop. We'll go through this problem and I will stop the class. Okay, just be there for a minute. So what is the problem tells? A signal carrying data in which one data element is encoded as one signal element. Okay, so immediately from this statement you can calculate R is equal to 1. Okay, one data element is represented with one signal element. Okay, if the bit rate is 100 kbps, so what is the average value of baud rate if C factor is between 0 and 1? That means substitute C is equal to 0.5. Now you need to calculate what is the average signal rate or baud rate. Okay, so for that the formula is S is equal to C into N divided into 1 by R. So C they have given 1 by 2, that is you can directly write 0.5 into N they have given 100 kbps, that is 100 into 10 power 3 into R already calculated, it is 1. Okay, so you will be getting 50 k baud rate. Okay, so this time up, just go through this problem